food, $38.99. Those cats aren't technically mine. She needs to pay for that. Toilet paper, $24.99. I guess we both use that. We can just split that down the middle. Milk, eggs, bread, butter, $38.62. Is it just me, or did shit get so much more expensive? Oh well. Her son has a pretty large appetite. Whatever. We can pitch in 50%. Laundry soap, trash bags, dishwasher tabs, $63.88. We could split that down the middle too. Okay, let's add it up. Let's see. Half the groceries, half the toiletries, minus the cat food, of course. Really? You say you love this person. They're your significant other. She's the mother of your child. He's the man you built your life with. And now you're just gonna split it down the middle? Well, welcome to Mars Venus Coaching. I am your gender intelligence coach, Clay Smith. Today's episode, we're going to explore the concept of financial intimacy, defining the full spectrum from functioning like financial roommates all the way to achieving deeper financial connection with your significant other. I'm going to break down what each dynamic looks like, the emotional and relational consequences of staying disconnected around money. We're going to explore the powerful but sometimes risky impact true financial intimacy can have on a couple's long-term connection and trust. We all have a different relationship to money. Oftentimes when couples get into a relationship, they bring their old, outdated money mindset with them. Through identifying these relationships with money, I want to leave you with some tools to help you gain further clarity on how you and your partner's relationship to money impacts your interaction with one another. By the end of the episode, you'll have several clear action steps that you can take if you want to begin creating a deeper level of financial oneness. Now, before we can talk about the depth of financial intimacy, we first need to acknowledge what becomes the starting point for many couples, whether they realize it or not. And it's what I call living like financial roommates. Financial roommates are couples who share living expenses, but avoid deeper financial collaboration or emotional connection around money. They function more like cohabitors and less like financial partners. Some expectations or assumptions of a financial roommate dynamic would be expectations centered around how things are going to be divided, such as bills, groceries, or housewares. Financial roommates split things down the middle, or maybe split proportionally according to a mutual agreement. There may be some expectations or assumptions centered around paying for his kids versus her kids' needs. For instance, a couple who is integrating a blended family might have an unspoken rule that he doesn't pay for her son's piano lessons, or maybe she doesn't pay for his daughter's braces. There may be expectations centered around debt or financial gains. Roommates don't typically pitch in to pay each other's medical bills. They wouldn't really benefit from their roommate's promotion or yearly bonus. There also might be some expectations regarding major purchases. They need to be preemptively agreed upon, for sure. She might have to pick up an extra part-time job just to pay for some major car repair bill. He might only be responsible to pay for the mortgage because the house is only in his name. Now, this dynamic isn't all bad. There are a few short-term benefits of a financial roommate dynamic. Let's explore those briefly. A financial roommate dynamic maintains a sense of independence. Separate accounts allow each person to make personal spending decisions without obligation to ask for permission. It preserves a sense of identity within the relationship. It avoids feeling managed or judged over small purchases. This dynamic minimizes conflict over spending styles. If one person is a staunch saver and the other is more of a spender, separate finances reduce that friction. In theory, each person can manage their own budget in a way that works for them without negotiation. In reality, when the partner paying their half of the mutual purchase can't, the one fitting the bill often advises the other to adopt their spending style, thus creating this awkward parent-child dynamic, which always leads to resentment. A financial roommate dynamic makes it easy to manage pre-existing financial obligations. This setup can help if one partner already has some pre-existing student loans or debt, or maybe the other partner is still making some child support payments, or perhaps somebody's responsible financially for an elder or another family member. Separate accounts keep responsibilities clear and fair. A financial roommate dynamic reduces power struggles. When income levels differ significantly, separate accounts can prevent imbalance or resentment. In theory, each person contributes towards those shared expenses based on a mutual plan, while also maintaining self-control over their own earnings. A financial roommate dynamic promotes freedom to spend on personal joys, whether that's hobbies or self-care or gifts for others. Separate finances let each person enjoy spending without guilt or having to justify. While the financial roommate model can have a sense of independence and simplicity, it also comes at a long-term cost, especially when it comes to the emotional connection and unity between two people. Over time, this division can create a subtle but powerful barrier to trust, teamwork, and intimacy. Let's shift gears here and explore what might be missing when couples operate from a financial roommate dynamic. Operating from this dynamic leads to emotional and physical disconnection. You might be thinking, Clay, what does financial intimacy have to do with sex? Let me explain. The lack of trust or vulnerability through avoiding financial transparency can create emotional intimacy. Can prevent emotional intimacy, rather. It's harder to be fully physically vulnerable with your partner if you can't be emotionally vulnerable with them first. And if you can't be financially vulnerable with them, you're certainly not going to be able to be emotionally vulnerable with them either. Relationships are messy like that. Everything is all emotionally interwoven together. One reaction, one unmet need, one stressful moment may quietly connect to something deeper. Operating from a financial roommate dynamic leads to poor communication habits. Avoiding money talks can create misunderstandings, surprises, and resentment. Unspoken expectations may build tension or create power imbalances. Operating from this dynamic leads to missed opportunities for teamwork. You lose that bond that comes from working together and achieving a difficult challenge together. You kind of adopt this not my circus, not my monkeys type of mentality. Operating from a financial roommate dynamic leads to inefficient financial progress. Duplicated expenses or a lack of coordinated planning can slow wealth building. Not having a shared financial vision means limited motivation to support your partner's goals. Operating from this dynamic leads to unequal financial burdens. See, without collaboration, one partner might shoulder more of the load unknowingly, thus leading to burnout and further resentment. Operating from a financial roommate dynamic leads to limited conflict resolution skills. If money talks are avoided, it's going to be so much harder to build the skills necessary to resolve larger challenges together. Operating from this dynamic makes it easy to dip out. You see, without that financial entanglement, it makes breaking up a hell of a lot easier to do. Great for people who have commitment issues or need an escape route. Finally, operating from a financial roommate dynamic creates what John calls resentment flu. When you keep score in a board game, the object of the game is to win by scoring the most points. You see, in your brain is a little network of neurons located at the brain stem called a reticular activating system. The RAS acts as a filter for sensory information, determining which stimuli are prioritized for awareness and which can be ignored. It plays a crucial role in your ability to focus, stay alert, and even sleep. The reticular activating system is connected to many cognitive functions like motivation, learning, memory. It's the part of your brain that helps you find what you're looking for. You see, your brain works much like a filter system on the road. If I asked you right now, how many blue trucks did you pass going and coming in the last 7 days? Most people would shrug their shoulders and go, I have no idea. Not because the blue trucks weren't there, but because your brain had no reason to notice them. They blended in the background like everything else. Now imagine I gave you an assignment. For the next 7 days, I want you to pay attention to every blue truck you see. When you see one, I want the make, I want the model, I want the shade of blue, I want the license plate if you can safely catch it. Suddenly, something fascinating happens. By the end of the week, you come back and say, Clay, they're everywhere. I had no idea how many blue trucks existed out there. Listen, they didn't appear overnight. What changed was your attention. That's the reticular activating system's job. It acts like the brain's internal search engine. Tell it what matters, and it will begin shaping your whole world through that filter. It highlights patterns, behaviors, opportunities, signals that were all present still, but previously ignored. In other words, your brain finds what you train it to look for. Your reticular activating system is constantly asking you, what would you like me to notice for you today? When you train your brain to keep score in a relationship, your reticular activating system essentially says, you got it. I'll help you notice every contribution you're making, every effort that might feel unseen by your partner, and every place where your partner appears to be falling short. And just like looking for the blue trucks, you're going to miss everything else on the road. The red trucks, the black trucks, the white trucks, and all the other evidence that does not match the scorecard your mind has been making. In a relationship, this means that you might notice your sacrifices more easily than your partner's efforts. You might see what is missing more quickly than what is being offered. Not because the evidence was absent, but because your attention has been trained to look for only one thing. When couples have separate accounts, the brain begins to monitor whether both partners are contributing equally. Over time, the relationship can start to feel less like shared stewardship and more like a running ledger. You might begin to notice what you paid for, what you covered, what you sacrificed, where you've been carrying more of the financial weight. But at the same time, you may miss all the other trucks on the road. Your partner's unseen contributions, their non financial efforts, their emotional support, their household contributions, the ways that they're trying to contribute differently. Now, up to now, we've explored what I call a financial roommate dynamic. Essentially, a relationship structure where finances remain largely separate. Individuals contribute carefully when we're tracking and measuring. The emphasis is often centered around independence, fairness, and personal autonomy. We also explored why this arrangement can feel appealing in the short term, offering clarity, making it easier, reducing conflict, creating a sense of control. But we also recognize some of the long-term cost, such as scorekeeping, emotional distance, transactional thinking, and diminished financial unity. But finances in a relationship can also be approached through an entirely different lens. Instead of primarily asking, are we contributing equally? Another model begins asking, how do we create deeper trust, partnership, and oneness together? And that leads us to explore the next concept of financial intimacy. Now, for the sake of clarity, I'm going to be using these terms financial intimacy, financial oneness, financial vulnerability rather interchangeably. I feel like each definition essentially points to the same relational concept. Financial intimacy or oneness is the practice of cultivating transparency, trust, and teamwork around money in a romantic relationship. It's not necessarily all about aligned values. It's about setting shared goals, using money as a tool to strengthen the partnership rather than split it down the middle. It means both partners feel emotionally safe and equally engaged in sharing financial responsibilities, dreams, decisions, even vulnerabilities. To drive this point home, think about financial vulnerability as a common pot of soup, all blended together. So some guidelines to this common pot approach might include that all income from either partner goes into this common pot. All bills, all groceries, all housewares come out of the common pot. Major purchases come out of the common pot as well. For those who might live in a blended family dynamic, there's no his and hers when it comes to shelling out money for the kids. Whatever debt one person has, both work towards paying that off. When she achieves that much deserved promotion, he benefits from that too. When he gets his inheritance, both partners reap the rewards. Let's also discuss the emotional benefits of financial vulnerability. It creates trust, transparency. It reduces money-related anxiety or secrecy. It encourages empathy and understanding over each other's financial histories, thus strengthening connection and a sense of teamwork. Financial vulnerability comes with some communication benefits as well. It promotes open and honest conversations about values, goals, and financial challenges. It reduces misunderstandings and assumptions regarding financial decisions. Couples who operate from that financial roommate dynamic often don't communicate about those unspoken expectations and about who's paying for what. When unexpected expenses arise, this lack of communication leads to further arguments. Financial vulnerability encourages healthy conflict resolution skills. Financial intimacy also comes with some financial benefits too. One primary benefit is that it enables unity around financial planning, such as budgeting, savings, investing. It helps avoid duplicated spending or overlooked bills. It increases clarity on shared goals like paying for a house, saving for that much needed vacation, or planning for retirement. Financial vulnerability maximizes resources by working as a team. Financial vulnerability comes with practical relational benefits. It builds this we're in this together mentality. It encourages both partners to feel equally valued and responsible. It reduces risk of financial betrayal or resentment. And lastly, it helps couples weather the financial storms of life more effectively. Now, I am doing an absolute damnedest to be non-biased here, so I do want to include the cost associated with financial intimacy. This lifestyle can come with some real challenges at times. Here's a few to consider. There are three primarily emotional or psychological costs to factor in. The first being vulnerability. Opening up financially requires revealing spending habits, debts, and fears. That can definitely feel uncomfortable and even threatening. The second being a loss of autonomy. Some may feel that they're giving up financial independence or control. That might trigger some identity issues or power struggles. The third being trust issues. If there's a history of financial secrecy or mistakes, well, transparency is going to reopen some old wounds. There's also some practical and logistical costs to financial intimacy. The first being time and effort. Achieving financial intimacy is going to take ongoing communication and planning and shared decision making. It's not just a one-time conversation. The second being possible disagreements. Differing values and priorities or money styles might lead to some conflict, especially if one person has a different relationship to money than the other person. The third being shared risk. When finances are fully combined, one person's mistake or crisis, such as a job loss, a resurfaced debt, or overspending habits, impact both partners. Lastly, there's some identity cost. The first being would possibly be role confusion, especially in relationships where like one partner's earnings is significantly larger than the other. Merging finances might kind of blur some of those traditional roles or expectations. The second being potential for resentment. Even though resentment potentiality appears on both sides of the spectrum, if one person feels like they're sacrificing more or taking on more of the risk, resentment can build if it's not regularly addressed. We all have a different relationship to money. Understanding your relationship to money and how it differs from your partner's can significantly strengthen your connection. It helps uncover any unconscious beliefs or emotional triggers or some spending habits that may otherwise just lead to conflict or disconnection. When both partners become aware of their spending financial mindsets, if you will, they can better communicate and make more aligned decisions, build mutual trust. This awareness turns money from a potential source of stress into a tool for deeper intimacy and shared vision. See if you can identify which relationship to money you have. See if you can identify which relationship with money your partner has. Are they congruent or discordant toward one another? Here are the 8 primary relationships to money. There's the saver. This guy is someone who finds security in savings, He wants a good deal. He wants to save a buck. If he needs to buy 300 cases of whatever to save $5, they'll sit in his garage for life. Then there's the spender. This guy is someone who enjoys spending on themselves and on others. He values experiences and lifestyle. Often lives more in the moment. He might struggle with some budgeting or planning. Then there's the avoider. This guy is someone who dislikes dealing with money and procrastinates paying bills or looking at the budget. He often avoids discussing financial details with his partner. Then there's the hoarder. This guy is someone who accumulates money primarily through assets for the fear of loss or insecurity. He can struggle to enjoy the fruits of his labor by hoarding everything. Then you've got the status seeker. This guy is someone who uses money as a symbol of success or self-worth. He often spends to impress or to maintain a certain image. Then there's the giver. This guy is someone who finds authentic joy and identity in generosity. He may give beyond his means sometimes, or maybe neglect his own financial health at that cost. Then there's the money monk. This guy is someone who believes that money is bad. It's the root of all evil, even though that's not even true. But he prioritizes spiritual or ethical values over financial gains. Lastly, there's the abundant thinker. This guy is someone who views wealth and money as a tool for growth, freedom, contribution. He believes wealth can be created, not just saved or hoarded. He feels worthy of abundance and open to receiving. He's focused on opportunities rather than limitations. Considering these 8 relationships to money, what kind of an impact would your relationship to money have with your partner's relationship to money? Would they get along good on a first date? Let's take a moment to think about our relationship to money. Think about the impacts that has on our partner. Our personal relationship with money, maybe it's formed by our upbringing, some beliefs we might have, some habits or past experiences. This becomes the lens through which you respond to financial decisions. When two people come together, they bring their own unique money stories with them, and they will interact with one another. Sometimes beautifully, sometimes explosively. Let's explore 3 potential problems that might surface if you're gonna take your relationship one level deeper towards oneness. Couples have different financial values, which leads to misunderstandings. If one partner values security, commitment, the other values freedom, the way each person wants to spend, save, or invest may differ. This leads to tension around budgeting, frustration around spending habits, or ultimately resentments and judgment. Couples have different communication patterns around money. Some people they want to shut down through having a money conversation. Maybe they feel a little shame or fear or guilt, so they just shut off. Some want to plan and talk and dive right in. If you avoid money conversations due to discomfort, your spouse may feel like she's being unseen, unsupported, burdened with the weight of all the responsibility, isolated in the financial decision-making aspects. Couples have triggers from the past, which might resurface if you grew up in a home where money was tight or where money is power. You might carry anxiety or guilt or the need to control into your adult financial health. Without awareness, these emotional reactions can impact your partner, even if it has nothing to do with the current issue at hand. Achieving financial intimacy can be best understood in stages. Much like the stages of a relationship and how it progresses from mere acquaintances to the dating phase, the engagement period, and then it's the lifelong commitment and the marriage. Financial intimacy has three primary stages involved. Stage one, dating through exploration and observation. Some indicators would be that this couple has separate accounts and handles their finances independently. Maybe there's some casual surface level conversations about money, such as spending or bills or some habits or whatever. But there's minimal to no shared financial goals. There might be some avoidance or discomfort when deeper financial topics arise. At this stage, couples are simply learning each other's relationship with money, their values, their tendencies. This respects one another's autonomy while observing future compatibility. The goal at this stage is to just build trust, gain awareness, maybe some financial transparency, but without all that pressure to merge. Some appropriate parameters for this financial dating stage would be two people who are just dating, living separately, no kids together, no real assets. Listen, don't do what I did with a previous girlfriend of mine. She needed to buy a car, and due to her terrible credit, we went together to the dealership to co-sign for her purchase. That's going to do the trick. Well, after multiple attempts, the car dealership person is saying, "Hey, if we put her name on anything of this, they're going to say no." We put the car in my name. Cool. No problem. We proceeded with the paperwork, giving her the keys while I took on the deed and the debt. That took our financial dating dynamic into hardcore financial intimacy. After dating her for 3 months. Not wise. Lesson learned when shortly after it came time for her to make her first car payment, she ghosted me. If you're looking to take your financial dating relationship one level deeper to the engagement phase, consider asking one another these questions before you do so. What was money like in your household growing up? How do you think that helped you shape your attitudes or habits today? What financial habits are you most proud of? Which ones do you want to improve the most? How do you typically make decisions around money? Do you feel comfortable talking about money with me? Why or why not? As you're going through these questions, you've got to ask, do their answers match your values and priorities in seeking a potential life partner? Does theirs match yours? Let's take a look at the second phase of financial intimacy, the engagement phase. In this phase, a couple's starting to share financial goals, like creating a vacation fund, or maybe saving for that one-day down payment, or reducing all the debt. They're having some joint conversations about budgeting, some money management stuff. Perhaps there's a possibility of opening a joint savings account for some shared expenses. There's a willingness to be vulnerable about financial fears or past mistakes, maybe some future dreams. They're starting to create a plan together, but still maintaining that financial independence. The goal at this stage is just to establish partnership, teamwork, and a financial planning dynamic. Some appropriate factors or parameters to consider during this financial engagement phase would be two people that are taking things pretty seriously. Possibly one of them popped the question, but there's no biological kids yet or like major shared assets. If you're looking to take up that financial relationship one level deeper, to the marital partnership phase, consider asking your partner these questions. What are 2 to 3 financial goals you think would feel meaningful for us to pursue together in the next year or so? How should we handle shared expenses? Split evenly based on income, other system? Are there any money related boundaries we should probably set up or discuss before we fully combine our accounts? How do we support each other emotionally during financial stress? Do you think we should have regular budgeting meetings? Again, do their answers match your values and priorities in seeking a potential life partner? Does yours match theirs? Now that the rings have been exchanged and it's time to take things a little up the notch, we're going to jump into stage 3. Fully financially married through integration and intimacy. In this stage, the couple has moved in with one another. They've decided to increase their financial partnership. They're creating a shared vision for sure. They see the long-term aspect of financial planning. They've combined their finances, full transparency about income and spending and savings and debt and history. They have regular financial check-ins. They're having some budgeting conversations. There's a unified approach to giving, investing, and making financial decisions together. At this level, money is no longer treated as an individual issue, but as a shared opportunity for partnership. Decisions are made for the benefit of the relationship, not merely for an individual preference. There is mutual empowerment, emotionally safety, and a sense of being supported when financial topics arise. A goal of this stage is to cultivate oneness by creating emotional, practical, and strategically aligned decisions together. The appropriate parameters for this financial intimacy stage would be the couple is fully moved in with one another. Maybe they got some kids together, one's on the way. One or both parties has stated the intention of a lifelong committed relationship. Maybe they own some assets together, a house, a car, run a business, whatever. They've lived together for at least a year, and in the context of a romantic relationship. They're making these distinctions between a financial roommate dynamic compared to a financial intimate dynamic. Seeing the costs and the benefits of each lifestyle arrangement. My aim is to provide you with clarity on what dynamic you're currently looking at in your relationship and what dynamic would you want to have down the road. Besides having those crucial conversations related to financial management, here are some simple steps that you can consider taking if you wish to deepen your connection with your partner regarding financial intimacy. Start with honest, judgment-free conversations. Create a safe space to talk about money habits, fears, goals, past experiences. Focus on curiosity rather than criticism. Share your financial histories together. Talk about the house you grew up in and how money played that role. What did your parents model? What emotional associations did you have around savings or spending or debt? Define shared financial goals. Sit down and discuss short-term and long-term goals. Do you want to get out of debt? Are you saving for that big trip around the world? Do you want to put your down payment on that house that you first bought? Maybe you want to be a philanthropist. Maybe you want to have retirement all planned out. Write it down. This helps you both unite around that common vision. Create a joint budget or spending plan. Even if you still have separate accounts right now and you're kind of starting to merge, build a shared budget that reflects both partners' values and needs. This is where strategy meets intimacy. Next, schedule regular budgeting meetings. Set aside some time on a weekly basis to just check in on bills, goals, feelings, making sure no resentment is popping up in the corners. Make these meetings consistent, short, and positive. Then gradually merge financial responsibilities. Start by combining one or two areas. Start like with a joint savings account. Maybe you're saving up for a vacation or co-managing some bills before fully merging. Decide together on how to handle discretionary spending. Discussing limits or maybe guidelines for individual spending. So both partners feel respected, like we're sticking with the plan, free within the agreed boundaries or guidelines. Create a system for transparency. Use a budgeting app like Mint or Rocket Money or Monarch, or get a spreadsheet, just so both of you can see the bigger picture of your finances at a time. Celebrate your wins along the way, recognizing your progress, big or small. Celebrating milestones together builds trust and strengthens momentum. Consider hiring a coach. A neutral third-party coach can unpack some past baggage, teach new tools, support tough conversations within the structure of compassion. They can hold you both accountable to the agreed plan of your budget. But Claire, I want to have this oneness thing, but I also want my own independence. I just want a little fun money. Nothing, I don't have to report. What if I just want to get her some flowers, but I don't want her to check the bank account and see a receipt? What if I want to just order him something online and surprise him for no apparent reason? Maybe I just want to have a little cash in my pocket for some dumb bullshit. Well, the good news is you can have your cake and eat it too. To merge into financial oneness while preserving autonomy, some couples create a slush fund. Together they decide what would be a weekly fun money allotment to budget for. If the cash flow allows it, maybe each pulls $50, $100 just for discretionary spending. This can be cash withdraw, transfer to a Venmo or PayPal card. It just comes out of the common pot. But whatever little purchase either partner makes with their own fun money, it's already accounted for. So thus it doesn't need to go on the budget. That weekly allotment helps couples feel free to make their own small purchases, indulge a little bit, enjoy the benefits of their hard work, while still experiencing financial unity. This is where financial intimacy begins. When two people are willing to be emotionally honest, curious, and collaborative about money, not merely just maintaining finances, but growing together through them. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Your relationship to money is more than just about dollars and cents. It's a window into your values, your upbringing, and your sense of safety. And when two people come together, they don't just merge bank accounts. They merge their money stories, their individual beliefs, their emotions. Today we talked about the cost of living like a financial roommate dynamic, where emotionally and financially disconnection kind of quietly erodes intimacy, and contrasted that with rich and rewarding benefits of building financial vulnerability. We unpacked how past experiences shape our current mindset around money, and how that mindset can either support or sabotage your connection with your partner. We also explored the three progressive stages of financial intimacy: financially dating, where you're just getting curious and open, observing; financial engagement, where shared goals and planning start to take shape; and financially married, where trust, collaboration, and oneness around money becomes the foundation for a stronger future together. Financial intimacy involves multiple pieces that require a very thoughtful and delicate approach. You're taking two people's money frameworks and blending them, their habits and fears and values and expectations, working to unify them in a meaningful, cohesive way. Because vulnerability is involved. It may be wise to have a third neutral party on your team as you navigate this union. A coach can help build partners and keep them accountable to mutually agreed plan, while creating emotional safety and a structure for some good conversations to take place. This is where coaching becomes a catalyst for deeper connection with your significant other. If you'd like to book a complimentary clarity session with me, just to gain some further understanding on how to apply this principle, feel free to click the link below, and pick a time that works for you. Also, if you received value from today's episode, man, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button. I'd encourage you to subscribe on a monthly basis. I provide new relationship tools designed to protect connection, deepen understanding, and help your relationship thrive. Let's stay connected, because financial vulnerability may begin with money, but it ultimately leads to deeper trust, greater financial emotional intimacy, and a relationship that can rise to an entirely new level.